Hello and welcome to Season 2 of Teacher Talk, the podcast for teachers who are lifers but still want to have a life. I'm Jared, and as always, I'm joined by my partner, Johanna. Hey, Johanna.
Hi, Jared.
What are we going to talk about today?
We are going to talk about applying for teaching jobs.
Applications.
We got some more feedback.
Okay. We talked about interviewing.
We talked about interviewing.
Did that air yet? Air.
Yes.
Let these go out
By
over
the time
your local broadcast affiliate tune into air.
Yes. It will have been the
I'm gonna
episode
hang up the phone if someone says air again.
a couple of times before this one.
Okay.
Okay. But we got some more feedback.
But for real, it actually is out as this is the time we were recording this. And so
No.
you've actually gotten feedback on it?
No.
You're lying about getting feedback.
Well, no, we got
purposes-
feedback. But the feedback we got was,
On interviewing?
yes.
That one aired.
They were just people sent, yes. So people sent in more questions about
the job search.
the job search. And we had already recorded about the interviewing process, but I realized we did not answer anything about just applying for the jobs themselves.
Okay.
So now we're doing that episode.
Okay.
Okay.
What do you need to know?
Well, first we're going to talk about the teacher test.
There's a test? Is it like the SATs?
No. Well, some states require the praxis, and that's separate. That's like how you get your teaching license. But some districts require you to take a test.
Yes. Onerous is to facile as...
No, not that type of test.
Oh.
It's supposed to be a test about how well you love students.
Oh, it's like a personality test?
Yes, it's like a teacher personality test.
So I should lie.
I'm going to go on the record and say that I do not appreciate this test.
Because it's like saying, hey, if a kid were crying in class, how would you deal with it? I would throw something at them. I would make fun of them until they stopped. I would kick them out of my room. Or I would give them the love and attention that they deserve. A, B, C, or D.
Okay, yeah, so it's multiple choice.
It's like that?
And it is kind of like that. So here are my problems with this test. One, I'm dyslexic and it is timed. They also have them for administrator tests have the same ones. And there's no button or anything I can click that can say like, hey, wait a second. Like giving me a timed test where I'm automatically marked as wrong if I don't answer within so many seconds. That's a little dicey. Like
Yes, more complaining.
particularly because there's not, like, at least when I've taken them, there's no countdown. Like, I don't know how much time I have. There's just a secret amount that once you put your answer in after that amount, it's, like, too late.
Okay.
So.
More complaining from the disability crowd. You know who's really discriminated against? It's people without any disabilities because we can't have any fun anymore.
Okay. Jared. The second thing is that I think it connects more to
the
how...
idea is it's not supposed to be a hard test. It's just to make you not overthink it.
Yeah, you're supposed to do your gut
Yeah.
response. And people will comment, well, obviously you've passed the test. Yes, apparently I have, but I had tricks to passing it. And then also I am very worried that, and I know there's been studies done by the person who made the test, that it doesn't show bias, but I think I think that people who are raised a certain way in a certain class are going to find the test easier to take than other people. And that's not cool. Like, and then there have been studies that are done that show that, like, it doesn't correlate in practice with whether it led to someone being a better teacher than another teacher. Yes. So here we are whittling out thousands of applications based on something that we don't have any clear evidence for it actually leading to a...
There's definitely a subset of people who are probably have a particular skill at test taking. Like when I said SAT, if you're going to, have test prep or crap for that, you learn tricks like, all or never statements are rare in answers and things like that, right?
Yep.
It's hard to believe that there's not just anytime you're presenting a multiple choice test of any kind, that there's not some bias in favor of people that have a lot of practice trying to get the best result possible on multiple choice tests.
Yeah, and I've heard that the more, and this is just something I've heard, I haven't read any research on this, but that new teachers new to the field, have an easier time with the tests than experienced teachers, because experienced teachers think about those exception to the rule kids when they're taking the test, and the test is not asking for that. It's like your general response. But anyway, if you
the point is to lie on the test.
The point is that you
okay, should lie.
So here are my tricks.
Don't give your honest answers. Give the answer they want to hear.
To getting through this test. And I'm going to give you some tricks that were not just mine. So trick number 1 is you can take your test results and apply them to multiples, but you only want to do that if you know that you have a good result. So I had a friend who was applying for jobs anywhere that had the test. And then once she started getting callbacks, then she knew she had a good test score, and then saved that test score and used that to apply for jobs she really cared about.
Yeah. I'm already detecting the class and social bias.
Yeah.
This is total Karen behavior.
This is horrible.
But I mean, it's smart.
Yeah. The second thing is to, again...
So, because you take it, is it like independently administered then?
Yes.
Okay.
So, like for me, because I'm like, if I'm going to take a test and it's going to be timed, I need somebody to read that test for me. So if you are someone who is a slow reader or a slow processor, you need a buddy. You need a companion to like help keep you moving forward with the test.
How do you do that?
Like I do better if I don't even look at the questions and just have someone read them to me, and then I say which answer I want to pick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And you're allowed to do that?
It doesn't say I didn't closely relate any directions. It didn't say I could.
Where do you take the test?
On your computer.
Oh, just at home?
Yes.
Oh.
So like another mistake teachers make is they're applying for things like while they're busy and things are going on. And
why don't you just get someone who's a good teacher to take it for you?
Well, I think that would be cheating.
Oh, that would be unethical.
Yes. Like, don't break your state rules of like ethics.
Yes, don't do that.
Don't do that.
I mean, I think you should, but Johanna doesn't?
No.
Okay.
But there's no button for me to push that says like, there's no even way for me to submit forms. Like to say like, hey, like I would love to show you documentation that I require an exception to the rule, but there is no option. At least the last time I took it, there was no option for that.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. The next thing I would say is that you want to put on your rose-colored glasses when taking this assessment. You want to assume that all the people involved only act based off of the best intentions, that there are no secret motives, that there are no kids who need tough love, that there are no parents who are creating roadblocks for their kids' success. Like, you want to pretend none of that exists, and everyone who's involved only wants the best positive outcome.
Just like the real world?
Yes, which is where I think it can be a little biased, because if you've grown up in a world where that's all you've experienced, like that's naturally what you're going to do, versus if you grew up at all with any sort of challenges or hurdles or life events.
Or like you say, if you're a more experienced teacher and you know better, then the people always have good motivations.
Right.
Okay. But that's the context of this. They're not testing to see how wise you are about how much the world can suck sometimes. They're testing to see whether you will give the Care Bear answers.
The Care Bear answers. Yes. Watch a couple episodes of the Care Bears and then take this assessment. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
Can you still do it? Is it on Disney Plus or something?
I have no idea. But that is 100%. Again, maybe, I don't know, maybe you can get higher scores if you don't give the Care Bear answers. I'm just saying, when I've taken it, the Care Bear answers worked out for me. So, go Care Bear Love Power, shoot rainbows or whatever it was that they did from their tummies.
They did, yes. They had the Care Bear stare.
Care Bear stare, that's right.
But yeah, what if I'm thinking, oh, well, they don't want me to give all the Care Bear answers. What they want is the most. If I do that, they'll know I'm being fake.
I don't know.
They want the sincere answers so they can like dial me in to be real but good. I bet that's not what's happening.
I don't think that's what's happening.
No.
And
okay.
I don't think the people that write these tests, like, I don't know that these test answers are founded in like research. Like, the answer that they pick might be the answer that sounds like that's what we want our teacher to do, but I don't know that there's research supporting that is the best answer. Does that make sense even?
Where do you think it even comes from then?
I don't know. But they say that I have
Why do you think they even have it?
researched the research done to the tests because they sold it because they were looking for something to sell.
What was the real or made up reason why?
Because it makes it easier to thin the herd of the candidates who apply to be a teacher.
There it is. Right?
Yeah. It makes
like
the HR process a lot simpler.
It's just a way of making the stack smaller.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. But I question, if you are someone out there going to go work on your PhD, I just question the validity of these tests, and I worry about bias
Of
in the
either
tests.
one.
The test
I'd worry
companies
less
themselves have done research and say that they're not biased, but like that's not how research is supposed
I bet
to
the
be
test
done.
company, if you asked them, if you rolled them up and smoked them, that they wouldn't cause cancer, but I bet they do.
Anyway.
Turns out when you ask someone who sells something whether their product is good.
Yeah, so let's just...
I talk about bias. I'd be worried less about bias, too, if I thought that they, worked. If they were biased and worked, I would be more comfortable.
Yeah, it doesn't show that they don't work. It just shows that it's neutral. The study I found...
Do they predict anything is what I wonder. Is there any correlation to success in the classroom?
I couldn't find a lot of research.
Okay.
The research I found is that it's neutral. Which means, net win for me, right? I find probably as a person, I'm going to find this test easier to take than someone else who came from a different upbringing as myself. But that's not fair or cool. Our kids need to see themselves in the classroom. So we need to have a process that is fair when we're determining who to hire for teachers. Anyway.
It's nice of you to care about that. I don't, but
Oh, God.
I do care.
Send your emails to Teacher Talk for Teachers. Negative emails for Jared. Help give me fuel for the fire.
I'm not for bias. I just am. I'm more concerned that it's not valid or effective at doing anything.
Yeah. School districts pay a lot of money for it. So.
But the other jobs do stuff like it.
Oh, yeah.
Corporate jobs do that sometimes. There's the Wonderlic test, which, as we know, famously predicts who's going to be the best quarterback with perfect accuracy. So you can't doubt that one.
You're making a joke. I don't know what the Wonderlic test is.
it's a sort of IQ, sort of personality test.
Okay.
That is famously given at the NFL scouting combine.
Oh, really?
So they go and they see how many times they can bench press 225 pounds.
Okay.
And they run a 40-yard dash, and they like, okay, you're strong, you're fast. But they also give them this kind of IQ test.
Right.
It's called the Wonderlic test. But some businesses do it too. And so it's not uncommon in the hiring process to take the Wonderlic or something very similar to it. But that one's at least an IQ test. I at least can tell you that people who are scoring better on it are probably generally smarter than people who are scoring worse on it. But it's a kind of a joke because like every once in a while a kid coming out of college will get like a really high score and they'll be like, oh, well, do they want a quarterback that's that smart? And like people with low scores often do really well and people with high scores often do poorly. It's just a thing in the NFL that every once in a while will be in the news.
Got it. Okay. So let's move on to the other things you turn in with an application.
I don't know. I kind of want to just talk about this teacher test. Can we have an episode that's just on the teacher test?
Okay, we can talk about just the teacher
test. How long have we
test.
been talking about this? I feel like about an episode.
Yeah, we actually
have
we've actually covered about an episode worth of stuff. So we're gonna have to save cover letter, resume, like the dirty stuff.
Do you think this is just like your district, or is this all over this teacher test thing?
It's starting to go out of fashion because I think there's enough people like myself who are kind of like, why are we spending... I know why we're doing it. Definitely has to say, I mean, the HR process for picking teachers to get down to just the interview level,
I mean,
that has to be intense.
Assign a number to them and ask Alexa to pick a number between 1 and 10.
But
then you can throw out 90% of the applications like that. You don't need a completely arbitrary thing that looks like a personality test that doesn't predict anything to just whittle your resume. If you have to whittle your resumes, do it randomly, and then you know there's no bias.
I don't think they're allowed to do that.
Why? This can't be better.
That seems unethical.
Why?
I don't know. Why not? I don't know. I am speaking as someone who's never had to go through this part of the HR process. So you do
this pointless thing, this weird test that doesn't really predict anything and might actually introduce bias that we don't want, just so you can whittle down the things.
You would think there would be another way to whittle them down.
If there's too many, just pick a fraction of them at random. It's perfectly fair.
I don't know. I don't like your plan either.
Why?
Because
it's because
you want the best candidate to get the job. I don't know.
Yeah, you're hung up on this illusion that afflicts everyone in the job having and searching market.
Okay.
Of like, oh, but what if the candidate that deserves the job is in that pool that's randomly selected out?
Yes.
And so the person who deserves it doesn't get it. Well, as the killer William Money said to Little Bill, deserves got nothing to do with it. It's a pile of applicants, all of whom that make it to the interview stage will deserve it in some way or another. And there's no real way to distinguish a winner, a true meritorious champion. And even if there were, for teachers at least, you've got contractual pay structure, but in non-union or non-contract jobs, the best candidate might want too much. And so it's the best one is the best one who'll accept the amount that's available.
Yeah.
So deserve is a crazy, crazy concept. It's just a process to find a candidate that will work as well as possible. And if it's impossible, if it's more trouble than it's worth to try and individually evaluate a giant stack of things, then the correct solution is to just randomly discard them. No, again,
I'd rather go
not
off of something based off of like how many licenses they happen to have, or
then
how
you're
much
just going to
experience
incent
they
people
happen.
to get extra licenses that they don't need.
I suppose.
If really your problem is that you just have literally too many applicants, just get rid of them. Don't introduce stupid things that create bad incentives or
at
create
that point,
virus.
then why not just say we're going to go until we have so many applicants?
Yeah. That'd be the best way to do it. But usually you have a policy of holding it open for a week and you might get too many.
Yeah.
Probably you say, yeah, we're going to accept the first, but then you're introducing a bias of like weirdo losers that are like waiting to get their application in, like it's swim lessons in a growing community of children.
Jared knows my stories of attempting to get signed up for preschool or swim lessons.
Like Springsteen tickets or something,
Yeah.
right? Like then you're getting a bias of the people that were like bird dogging the application to open up.
True.
And not getting the normal people who will hear about it, so that doesn't work either.
So I don't know what the solution is, and I don't need the solution.
We do need it.
I
just got done telling you the
I
solution.
know I don't like your solution.
It's because you're hung up on this idea of
People
dessert.
can email us and tell us if they like your solution or not.
Deserves got nothing to do with it.
All right. More importantly, though, let's recap it.
Yes. Always been lucky when it comes to the killing of people. What?
What?
I'm thinking of Unforgiven.
Okay.
I was building a house.
And focus.
Let's watch Unforgiven.
Let's recap.
Recap. The teacher test
Yes.
is pretty common. And by this, you don't mean, we talk so much about it, it should be clear by now. This is like, it's a personality test that you would take online as part of your application process.
Correct.
Or I imagine, at least sometimes, it would be a little bit later in the process. It would be something you take when you go into the office on a computer there.
I've always had to do it with the application.
Your advice is to put your rose-colored glasses on.
Yes.
Do your Care Bear stare.
Care Bear stare.
And you just assume that the way the questions are written is they're imagining a world in which everyone has good motivations.
Yes.
And don't overcomplicate it with
Nope.
what you know about how the real world actually works.
No, don't think about the real world.
And answer it that way.
Yep.
A trick is to
think about from a parent's. I almost think like it became easier for me to take as a parent, like a stereotypical answer that I, the parent, would want the teacher to answer.
Sure.
Like, because I would be curious to know if there's research behind the answers that they pick, or if the research is like based off of a collection of people all like that answer the best, and so that's considered the right answer. I think that's the research
we're
that they
family
have.
feuding it. I'm sure that's it.
That's
what they researched.
Yeah, they researched like which answer they liked the best.
Yes.
Not like research was conducted and kids best perform with this answer. That I don't think is in the test. I think these are focus grouped answers.
Yeah, I'm sure that's it, because no doubt they're pretending to have research that I'm making air quotes in that no one can see because this is an audio medium. That backs up their test that they're selling, and I'm absolutely sure that's it.
Okay.
Because they focused grouped out what probably not even parents, probably just people.
I don't know.
People that were.
I don't know. I would like to think they had the best intentions. That's how I roll.
And you should when you're taking one of these tests. When you're
Yes. When you're taking one of these tests, everyone does have the best intentions.
When you're deciding as a community or a district to buy this test or not, you should not assume that everyone has the best intentions.
Okay.
Their intention is to separate you from your money.
Okay, recap.
Recap.
Okay.
Rose-colored glasses.
Yep, rose-colored glasses.
A trick is you can, like, this is third-party administered, so you can, like, get a result and submit it to multiple schools.
Yes.
So if you do that once and you get callbacks, you know you passed the test.
Yep.
And so you could just use that one.
Yep.
Pro tip. I think that's it for, like, the instructional stuff. We talked about bias.
I think a big one is if you know that you're going to struggle with what to pick and you're better, like, listening to if your processing time is faster through auditory, get a friend to read you the test. Even if you're looking at it and hearing it, like, know it's timed. Know that your answer is automatically wrong if you go overtime. The last time I took the test, there was no, like, countdown clock. So it's like a magical random time. I don't know if it's you've got to answer so many questions within a given time or if it's just one question, but just know, don't overthink it.
Yeah, and even if you're not dyslexic, having the reading person might help you keep from overthinking it.
Yes. Yeah.
And then we talked about bias. We talked about
we complained a lot.
They're going to, the PhD people out there are going to investigate this thing for us.
For you to investigate this because I look stuff up and the most research done is that done by the testing company and they really don't put out the research, or at least I couldn't see the actual studies. I couldn't find them. And then I didn't look for hours, but
the engineers and economists are all going to write in and say how brilliant my random discard resume idea is, and everyone else is going to hate it.
I know.
So engineers and economists, please write your emails to support me because we're right, as is known. I have spoken. Thank you, Johanna.
Thank you, Jared.
Johanna, do you get questions from listeners ever?
Yes, we do.
How do those listeners send you questions?
They send us an email.
Where does that email go?
teachertalk4teachers@gmail.com.
But wait, what kind of 4? How do I do 4?
All of the 4s. They can do a number 4. They can write the word FOR, or they can do FOUR, even though that one doesn't quite make sense.
Well, perfect. teachertalk4teachers@gmail.com.
Yes.
Thank you, Johanna.
Thank you, Jared.
Teacher Talk, the podcast for teachers who are lifers but still want to have a life.